So with that, let's talk about the Saints game. New York Giants versus the New Orleans Saints. Here's the preview coming at you. Sunday, December 17th, a 1 o'clock game at the Superdome. The Saints are favored by 6. I would think that line moves a lot before kickoff on Sunday. I don't know how you can, we'll get into it, but the over-under is 36.5. And the Saints Vegas has Saints by 6. I believe they also had the Packers by 6.5, maybe more. So Vegas thinks these Giants are a fluke. In terms of Saints leaders, Derek Carr has thrown for almost 3,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. Chris Olave is their leading receiver with 918 yards and 4 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara is their leading rusher with 564 yards and 5 touchdowns. So not exactly a banner year for Alvin Kamara, which is hard to fathom. Last 5 matchups, we had that amazing come from behind win in New Orleans on early October 2021, where literally everything was clicking on offense in the final quarter. Barkley looked awesome. Galladay looked good. Kadarius Toney looked good. It was just like, oh my God, we are a juggernaut. And we rarely win in New Orleans. So to come back and win that was, it had me believing in the 2021 Giants big time. And they really collapsed at the end of that season. Previous to that was September 30th, 2018. That's when the Saints took it to us on our home turf, 33-18. I think I wrote a blog basically a eulogy for the 2018 Giants saying, is this one of the worst offenses in Giants history? Little did I know, 5 years later, September 2016, that was the game we talked about in the Giants Packers recap. Giants 16, Saints 13. Like I said, Janoris Jenkins blocked field goal for a touchdown. Victor Cruz, big catch down the right sideline. And Josh Brown with the game winner at the end. November 2015, this is the Day of the Dead. It's the day after Halloween, November 1st. I was working at StreamCon at the Javits Center, an event that was so pathetic, the booth that I set up. But it was a last minute thing. And I was just like, I don't care about this. This is ridiculous. That was a shootout for the ages. Saints 52, Giants 49. Of course, we had that bullshit. Was it a punt return? What was it? Where the punter maybe barely touches the face mask of the guy. They get an extra 15 yards and then hit the game-winning field goal to end it. So that really felt like we had what it took to win that game. And it sucks because that was one of many games in 2015 where it's like came down to the wire and we just came out on the losing end. And then December 2012, the David Wilson come-out game. Giants won 52-27. David Wilson held himself a hell of a day. And we were all thinking, oh, my God, we have one of the biggest, best weapons in the NFL. And then he had his neck issue. So Giants lead the all-time series 17-14. Saints are 3-3 at home. Giants are 2-5 away. We're 6-7 versus the spread. They're 4-8-1. We're 31st in points scored per game, 25th in points allowed per game, which is goddamn. It's like you take out the Cowboys and the Dolphins games. Where are we at then? We're definitely at 20. We're not in the 20s, right? We're about average. The Saints have scored the 50. They're around average, 15th most points scored per game, 10th most points allowed per game. So their defense is legit. And it's like if their offense could just get their act together, they would run away with the division. But I guess you could say that about a lot of teams in the NFC South. So that's that. This is going to be a bigger test for us than Green Bay was, even though Green Bay's defense has improved significantly over this run that they've gone on. The Saints, I think, are the better defense, which is interesting because the Packers beat the Saints. I think it was like 17-16. At Lambeau. So, but I still think, we might have more troubles with the Saints D than we did the Packers D. +6 for us in the takeaway department, which is 6th, and the Saints are +5, which is 9th. So that's going to be that should be a huge determining factor is like, can our defense continue to force turnovers? And can Tommy continue to hold on to the ball, not turn it over? We're dead last in passing yards per game, while they're 14th in passing yards per game, which is, feels low, Chris Olave and I don't know, and Michael Thomas is still playing, but Alvin Kamara, like it seems like that they should be a top 10 passing offense. And I think trouble's brewing in New Orleans. Like there are all these reports about how the players, like offensive linemen, are yelling at Derek Carr, and so it just feels like they're in a state of disarray on the offensive side of the ball. We are 14th in rushing yards per game. They are 20th in rushing yards per game. We're 18th in defensive passer yards allowed per game. They are 7th, and we're 29th in rushing yards allowed per game, and they're 26th. So I would imagine that you would see a lot of running. I think this is another game where you got to give Saquon the ball, hand it off to him 20 times. If we can hit that 20 mark, I think we're in a good position, good spot. And like I said last week, it's just if the defense keeps it close, the offense keeps it close, and Saquon is bound to break out in the second half, definitely the fourth quarter. It just feels like he's always getting big chunk yardage when the other defense is probably worn down, and that's when he kind of explodes. And so I think that's going to be the key, right? We got to continue. The offensive line has to continue to perform at the level that they are. And DeVito continues to make smart choices and is decisive. I think that's what the issue was with even Tyrod, but Daniel Jones to a much bigger extent is indecisiveness and not pulling the trigger. Like, would Daniel Jones have thrown that ball to Isaiah Hodgins in the corner? I don't know, dude. I think he might have thrown it away. I think he probably would try to run with it. And that's sad because I think he wasn't like that last season. He definitely wasn't like that last season. So maybe time away from the game and seeing Tommy do what he does will remind him and, jostle something loose in his brain, and it'll be like, okay, yeah. Will we win this game? Yeah, I think so. I have confidence that we'll win this game. What becomes the issue is that if we win this game against the Saints, we then have to go into Philly for Christmas on Monday night. We stink in Philly. We stink on Monday night. But then again, Packers were 18-0 in December under LaFleur before they played us. The Patriots were undefeated in 2007 before they faced us in the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson had never lost to an NFC team in his entire career as a starter, and we beat him. So never say never. Justin Bieber, shout out. But you win that Saints game, and you're feeling good, right? You're like, okay, and now we just have to sweep the Eagles, like the best team in the NFC last year, second best team, and what could be the second or third best team in the NFL or the NFC this year. And we've just completely struggled against them. We're just getting, it's not even competitive. So we'll see. But that Eagles defense is not what it was like it was last year. They don't look great. James Bradbury, I think, has taken a step back, and they're allowing a lot of passing yards. So, and the offense doesn't look too high powered. We'll see. But my God, you beat the Saints and then you beat the Eagles. I believe that Rams game is at home on New Year's Eve, dude. Oh my God. That game is might be the loudest game that you ever hear. Yeah. It's in MetLife. Ooh, baby. And I'm not saying we're definitely going to win that game, but man, if we bring the motherfucking pain and the noise in MetLife, pack that stadium, and drown out Matt Stafford. It's Matt Stafford. I looked at his fantasy stats recently, and he is just blowing up. He's really hitting the apex. So I do think they just lost the receiver Tutu Atwell, but they have Puka Nacua, they have Cooper Kupp, and like that's, can you just double team, let Puka Nacua beat you? Just double, triple team Cooper Kupp. Maybe take the same approach that the Titans did against the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill and kind of, bottled him up to a certain extent. That's what I'm really looking forward to, is that Giants, if we can beat the Saints and the Eagles, which is like, probability not great, but that Rams game will be electric. And then you have that Eagles game. If we beat the Rams on January 7th, you're looking at, every game's a playoff game at this point, right? Like we're in the playoffs. This is the playoffs right now for us. So, you go 3-0 in your next three, and then you have the Eagles coming into MetLife. I'm not saying we beat them, because maybe they're fighting for a top seed, but it'll just be fun, right? So that's the Giants.